Call the meeting to order at 5:35.
All right, I will move the acceptance of the minutes of April 24th as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of April 24th as presented. If there's no further discussion, then all in favor? Say aye. Aye. Good. Sorry to make you wait, Tom.
No, no problem at all.
Funding request. Funding.
Maybe we better make him wait a little longer.
It's a simple one, though, really. It is. It is. No additional money, no nothing.
Funding request with no additional money.
Yeah. You gotta love that, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Something's wrong.
It's called a shifting
I
of
hear
money.
that. I hear the sound of trickle up, trickle out, trickle down.
We've got a string and a couple of paper cups, I think. You know.
Well, that would work.
Change the batteries,
It's gonna be a long
right?
string.
The one question, Carl, is it Carl now? Or
No,
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 that is wrong in
No,
there.
okay.
It was spelled wrong one place and then it was right the other place.
Oh, did I make a boo-boo?
Carl now.
It was Carl now.
Maybe there was a time when he was Carl now, but now
No, he's not.
no longer.
No longer.
This is riveting television.
Will this allow you to, sort of stay current with equipment that's coming in,
Yes.
out and down the line? In
Yeah.
other words, you're, it's not a
Not investing in
backward
it.
step.
Yeah.
No, no,
technology
no,
or anything like that. All right.
Not good.
Well, obviously.
For our viewers, do you want to just briefly explain what this is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Essentially, as I indicated, over the last several and many months, we started to experience some issues with not being able to communicate with our primary dispatch center in Keene directly by way of our portables. And the reasons for that are quite a few. Number one is our portables are aging, so they just don't have the oomph that brand new ones do. But the biggest reason is there have been some modifications made to our communications network, the antennas sites, that have taken away from our ability to have direct portable communications. In saying that, the mutual aid system and its communications system was never designed to support direct portable communications with them. We've been fortunate over the years, just for whatever reasons, that we've been able to and gotten away with it. But now we're not in that position anymore. So it's becoming more and more difficult, strictly through portable radio, to get to our dispatch center. That's affecting all of us, but most of the time it's able to be countered just simply through relaying of messages through apparatus, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, with Chris and I specifically, we're operating at incidents by ourselves for longer periods of time. So whether we're outside of buildings, inside of buildings, depending upon where we are, we lose touch with anybody. We can't communicate with anybody. So Carl and I have worked, and Chris have worked fair amount, trying some different things, and nothing's really been the answer. So we talked with Carl again, and this is what he came up with to put UHF repeaters in our trucks that are tied to our VHF radios, and then we would carry UHF portables, and through that link, that UHF link, we'd be able to transmit and receive with Keen via portable with no problem at all.
Does the association have to approve this, and/or did they approve it? No? Okay.
No, all I'm asking for is
Transfer of funds.
right from one line item to the other.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if we've typically done that in the past, or just kind of.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but it is one thing that I asked to have done quite a bit. Because when I sit with an auditor, if we're over on something, they want to see.
And it didn't get approved.
Right, they
Yeah.
want to see that there was an approval process that there was a thought process behind, okay, well then we know we can't overspend in this one then. So there's an audit trail of that movement plus a vote by the board that it was okay. So that's probably a little bit of a new process than what you guys are used to doing, but it's kind of just been done before without, kind of just kept in your head, yep, we can't overspend this one because we know we used it somewhere else, but this will give us that trail. So.
Sounds reasonable. Do I hear a motion?
Yes. How would you like the motion to? Motion will
Just to
approve the request
Transfer.
for the transfer of funds from the Firefighters Association line item to the radio repair line item.
in
as
the
per
amount
the
of
chief's
$3,010.
request.
And just so everybody's aware, that new radio license, that's a one-time expense, just like the rest of our radio frequency licenses. That's just a one-time expense.
So once you have it, you
Once we
own
have it, we own
basically.
it, and that's it.
Good.
Just out of curiosity, in the proposed budget for 13-14, there already is 2,500 in the radio maintenance thing.
Yeah.
So you need that for other
Right.
radio maintenance.
Yeah,
So
just
I
like
see what you're
just a
saying.
normal
Okay.
run-of-the-mill, yeah.
You will see over time that radios are mind-bogglingly expensive to, purchase new,
Right.
upkeep, so on and so
Yeah.
forth, and
Yeah.
2,500 is a squeak-by budget. It
Yeah.
just costs to maintain 25 or 30 radios is surprised to pagers and radios.
Sorry.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Speaking of radios,
Speaking of tasers.
Star Wars.
Yeah. All right, it's been moved.
yeah, I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve transfer of funds from the firefighters, within the Firefighters Association? Or
Yeah, within the line item.
Right.
within the
Line
line item, in the amount of $3,010. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Have a good night.
Good luck.
In the future, anything over $5, we're gonna need to, All right, nuisance control.
Yeah, so this was just I had given it to you at the last meeting with the proposed changes, which was just really the fee section. I didn't give you a new copy of it.
You didn't? Okay.
No. It was the fee section that had been updated with what we thought was more appropriate fees. So I thought there had to be a public hearing on the changes, but there doesn't have to be. There has to be an approval of the changes by the board at a regular meeting, then we have to notice it, and it becomes effective 60 days later.
If nobody significantly objects. Is the fee structure something you're comfortable with at this point?
Yeah,
and is Henry comfortable with it?
He's the one that came up with it based off of what was more appropriate for the time that
Reality.
we're in. Yeah,
And
reality,
it's
yeah.
readily available for viewing, like online or something.
Yeah, we'll put it online, and
So-
I think we have to notice it in the paper.
Right.
Yeah. So that's basically what that is about.
And you need a motion to adopt
The
the
amendments.
new fee
Well,
schedule.
the
No, it's
changes
not
to the
merely a fee
ordinance.
schedule. Changes to the Putney Animal Nuisance Control Ordinance. Such changes will be viewable at the town hall or online.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the amendments to the Putney Animal Nuisance Control Ordinance. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Public Safety Committee discussion. We haven't talked, but
We haven't.
I've been talking to people.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I know, I wanted to put it back on here just so we could at least.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you guys a copy of the contract
Yep.
that I just got this yesterday. Because I called him and said that we are putting together a committee, but I'm not really sure, we've got to come up with what the charge is. And is there even like a choice of what it is that you're offering us?
Right.
Right. This is for a single person, single contract with Putney.
Right, with a mutual aid agreement with Westminster.
Oh, there. Okay, that
There's a
is-
separate
oh,
page.
All right.
That starts, it says mutual aid
Okay.
agreement.
Yeah.
So that's covered in this as well.
Yeah. This
Yes,
is
it is.
really all that he's offering at this point.
It
This
is.
is the way
Okay.
he sees, and I think it's just a matter of how it evolved over time.
Yeah. So what does this cost us?
52,000.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not too bad at all. That's great.
So moving right along. No.
So I guess that's the
let's
question. I guess that's the question. Do we want? I mean, I want to honor what we talked about with the voters as far as the committee,
Yes.
but is there a different direction we need to take with that committee now, or?
Well, what I've been talking to people about, and Kathy Bartlett is willing to be on the committee. She has somewhat limited time at this point. You must know Kathy.
Yes.
Do you know Kathy?
Yes.
Yeah.
June Derrick is willing. John Knopper. And Billy Strauss is willing to help in what capacity he can, mostly as sort of a consultant. Well, two questions. I think one, I think we should have somebody from Landmark College involved. And I don't know, it would be great if that could be a woman, just because it would be nice if there were a reasonable balance. But I don't know. I wondered about Lori. She helped with the sidewalk stuff, and I don't know whether she's sort of in, wasn't that her name, Lori? Anyway, but somebody from Landmark, because Landmark is a huge user, and we need them to be an active voice. So we need to think about who that might be, and I don't know whether you want to make some calls to people over there and see.
I did have a meeting with them last week actually about the sidewalk, and this came up, and I told them
Okay.
they actually said that they would like to be part of that.
Okay, good.
So
Well, we
they'll-
should
yeah.
find out who that was. And then I also didn't know whether there should be a select board member, and I wondered whether you might be interested and or willing. When I talked with John about it, he said, and I'm happy to do this, that if we did, that maybe it would make sense for me to sort of be present at a first meeting, just to sort of run through what expectations are. But I don't know whether you're willing to do that, able
Sure.
to do that, et
Yeah.
cetera. But what I have talked to people about is, in the short term, exploring the sheriff's department contract with the goal of next town meeting really having a clear recommendation as to what we think we should be proposing essentially for 14-15.
Okay, yeah.
And what that would look like and why and how. And then also sort of moving forward, looking at fire department and ambulance service and how I mean, Billy was
The whole
talking.
public safety.
Exactly. And
And
Billy
animal
was
control
talking
part of
about
that,
that,
too.
you know, rescue, I guess rescue is really going, Mark is leaving, which I didn't realize. But rescue's undergoing some major changes and, you know, sort of what that's going to look like and what the fire department looks like. And also this question of Landmark being involved in the upstairs of the, you know, sort of
All of
pick
that,
specific
all of that.
questions and say, okay, you know, are we using the fire department to its capacity? How can we structure things differently? You know, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
So a really comprehensive public safety, more of a,
but you know what
With the
I've said
goal
to
of-
people is really sort of in specific segments with specific
Okay.
charges as we define them. You know, the first one being that Wyndham County Sheriff's Department, and you know, I don't. None of these people want to be bogged down in endless meetings. They
Yeah.
just want to, you know, be given something to look at and come up with a recommendation and go with it, and then sort of move on to something else. So, and they're all willing to do that. So, I think we need to look at who from Putney School, and I don't know whether Billy's role is going to be somewhat minimal. I mean, not Putney School, sorry,
Landmark.
Landmark.
Okay.
I wondered whether we should involve somebody from Putney School, but I don't think we necessarily need to, because I don't think they're big enough.
Yeah, I know
Usually
Landmark
that's
definitely, because I did. I
necessary.
went up and I had lunch with them the other day, and we talked mostly about the sidewalk, but then I mentioned to them about this committee that's being formed, and that's going to be a major question of the committee. I'm sure it's going to come up,
Is Landmark.
is Landmark.
Yeah.
So they, you know, it was Brent and I can't remember the other guy's name. He's the finance, I think, I don't remember his name, but they both were like, we really should be part of that discussion.
Yeah.
So that we can.
Well, they have to be,
Yeah.
because they, you know, and we need to have both sort of easy access to information from Landmark as well as an advocate there for
Yeah.
getting the service and being responsible for that service.
I know Henry
So-
had expressed interest about this committee too, but maybe he should be more used as a consultant in that type, you know what I mean? Invite him to a meeting
Right, to
when
speak
there's
to the
specific
issue,
to
I
speak
suppose.
to, well, with his expertise of being part
Right,
of the sheriff's
exactly.
department at one point and then also his
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to exclude him from it, but because I think he's got a lot of good information, but I don't necessarily know that he needs to be.
Part of the committee
Yeah.
itself, yeah. And I think the first charge would be very specifically you know, to basically evaluate this contract. have a discussion.
Evaluate this one that's
Well-
coming up or the one for.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I think that chances are, unless one of us sees something glaring on this,
Yeah.
that we accept this.
Uh-huh.
But to look at this, you know, before next town
Yeah.
meeting and say, is this the right way to go? Are we getting the best bang for our buck? Are
Yeah.
we getting the service we really
Yeah,
need?
that's great.
You know, and how do we pay for it if we're not, and so on and so forth.
So for the next meeting, should we do an appointment of the committee and set up a first?
We probably could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I could sit down in the meantime and sort of
Write a
specifically write a
specific-
charge and yeah.
Okay. Good. I mean,
And
yeah,
and
I
if
was
Steve
happy when I
wanted to
got
be
this.
part of that too.
Huh?
I mean, maybe Steve, you
Yeah.
know, if we can have a meeting with,
Yeah.
although that has to be warned.
It will have to be warned, but we can warn it.
We can do that.
So
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right, good.
Public service.
PSB, what is it? Are they putting in a solar thing?
I think it's an amendment to
It
a
was Green Mountain, it is expanding their
yeah. They amended.
current.
Oh, cool.
So really just information and making sure that we publicize it so that if anybody has any comments on that, we can get
Where
that
is
to them.
this? I don't know.
Must be back in
Behind-
behind
Behind the packing house somewhere?
off of Aiken Road there, off of Quarry Road rather.
No, it's not.
It's not.
You know, is it up by our place?
Oh, could be.
I wonder.
130 West Hill Road.
Oh, no.
No.
No, that's,
So that must be what there's a a meter just
Right
down
there.
below
Yeah.
the. I'll bet it goes over. I bet it's like over by the blueberry back, the lower blueberry patch
That's
there.
his house back
Yeah.
there.
Huh, good. So do we need to
No, it's
do
just,
anything?
unless you
Definitely
want
not.
me to comment on that application, I don't need anything. I kind of just started that, I didn't know we were gonna get so many of them. It's good,
Great.
The solar thing.
yeah.
It's great. It really is. It's nice to see that people are really doing it.
Till we start attracting too many clouds, you know. Isn't that the threat of solar?
Yeah.
Somewhere out there in the blog, there's something about that.
So this next, the proposal for structural assessment of fire escape. Remember the insurance company told me we had, so I contacted Lisa Papazian, she recommended Stevens and Associates because they work with historical buildings, and this is what I got in the mail. So I don't know, we don't have any money left in the town hall maintenance line, but I'm not sure we really have a choice as to whether we have to have it looked at.
Well,
The
But I
insurance
don't know.
company. And do we have to have it looked at? I mean,
right. I mean,
I'm a contractor.
I was going to
Scott's
say,
a
who's
contractor.
what are
Well,
the
they wanted a
qualified
structural
structural
engineer to
engineer?
look
Okay. So,
Spread the wealth, eh?
are we? I mean,
the
we're
other
not
thing-
obligated to use
No.
Stevens for this. I mean,
The other thing that,
we have a retired structural engineer around or somebody. Who's,
Ted Fellows, do you know Ted? He's not retired,
Yeah,
but he's
that's
very
right.
reasonable.
That's-
okay.
Thaddeus Fellows, I
Right.
think it is. He's over in Walpole.
Well,
He's
the
very
other
nice and
thing
he's
that I
very
wondered
reasonable.
is, maybe if we had to pay this, maybe we should just get a new fire escape. I don't know how much they are, but
A lot.
yeah.
Yeah, it
But
would cost us a lot.
okay, so I'll do a little.
And
bit
they
more
don't
research.
care about the fact that we don't use that space.
No,
Okay.
they do not.
Yeah.
I would suppose. Yeah. Right. I guess it's somehow a look at whatever the specs are. I mean, it is just.
I have his number.
Single
If
rise
you remind me,
steps.
I can give him a ring tomorrow and
Okay.
just mention it to him. And,
If I email you, will that
Yeah, probably.
okay.
There's probably a pre-assembled
even
know.
if you don't remind me, I'll try to do that.
Okay.
A pre-assembled something.
step
Yeah, but it's
system
probably-
that would work. Well,
It's
yeah.
probably $6,000 to $9,000 just to.
That thing is a beautiful antique.
I know.
So I
It's
suspect
great.
we could
I'll
probably,
take it for sure.
you know,
No question.
Maybe it'll be fine.
to.
It might be.
It might be
Yeah,
fine.
it'll
Yeah.
be fine.
It might, you know, a little.
Might need a footing put underneath it or something like that.
Reinforcement, you know, or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, it is
So we'll do a
beautiful.
little
We should
bit more.
definitely
But
keep it if we
definitely,
can.
Right, so
to be
you'll check in with
saleable.
him.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it came down to
The rental agreement stuff. This came up because of the use of the fire station by the driving school. So Richard helped me come up with a facility use policy, which is one of these copies. The other one is just kind of a sample rental agreement that we'll be using with people. But it's really the facility use policy that I want some type of motion to approve the policy so that we can start make it more official. I did need to ask Tom about the maximum occupancy. I don't know if 45 is right.
In that room.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he
Oh,
said 40 or 45. I can't remember. I'll change it to whatever he tells
Sounds
me.
right.
that
Yeah.
number. Yeah.
And then the town hall meeting room, we had no idea, so we left it blank.
Town hall meeting
one.
room. This.
Richard wanted to put this room on there just in case somebody ever wanted to use it.
Wait a minute. Maintained, enjoyable, and accommodating. I'm not sure that this room fits all those in that description.
And put
Depends on who you are.
put everything back the way it was.
Comfortable for
We
the
could cross
for the
off the
horror
town hall meeting
actors.
room. It wouldn't bother me a bit. But we do
No
let
fires in the
we do
fireplace.
let people use it for committee meetings.
Sure,
Or, you know,
right.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I didn't have a problem
I mean, somebody want to have a wedding in here or something?
Never know. Might have sentimental value. There was a wedding out on the porch one day.
Where?
Out here, out front.
Really?
Yeah. Justice of the peace out there, and all of a sudden there were a bunch of people out there. I mean, obviously this is more geared toward the type of thing that we're renting it for.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Glad to see that the renter as a driving school is not going to be serving alcohol to the.
Thank God.
Jeez.
That would not be good.
Seems an odd.
I'd be more concerned if they brought.
I mean,
cell phone.
it's always certainly a good
Cell
concern
phones.
for
Yeah,
the building
right.
itself, but
Um,
well, perhaps all three, right? Right.
It's not specific to the renter.
How to smoke,
It's
eat
a-
a burrito, and speak on the phone.
under smoking and alcohol, second sentence, possession, it should say possession of alcohol. And he has insurance?
Yes. He already sent me his insurance paperwork.
And this doesn't have a cost on it, or that's,
The cost?
oh,
Number
yes,
two.
for
signing of the
Yeah.
rental, yeah, okay.
And each one will be, I mean, in the use policy, we didn't list a specific
Fee,
fee.
right? It will be as
Yeah, it'll be yeah.
as adjudicated for.
So,
So we're not approving the rental agreement, it's really just the policy.
The policy.
The use policy, yeah.
Okay. And we currently do not have a policy, so this is not an amendment to our
Right.
current policy.
Well, if there is one, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so the motion is to adopt a new policy concerning the rental of facilities. Okay.
Or
just-
use of facility.
you know, the one other one that might come up, and I don't know whether this wants to be on here, is the pool.
I thought about that,
I don't, you know.
but I guess that's up to, I mean, I don't, What
Does
is
the
the-
rec league have a policy
I don't
along
know
those
who,
lines?
I mean, who,
Wouldn't that be?
whose jurisdiction is that? Is it
It's ours.
ours?
yeah, it's ours, but,
Maybe check with the,
well, I guess that's the, have we
That's,
rented the pool out before for parties, birthday parties?
It's
that
been
kind of thing?
used.
it's been
It's
used,
been used for like the 8th grade graduation.
Right,
party.
for a town,
A town.
so.
Right.
called.
And people will have birthday parties there, but that's during normal hours, they'll have a birthday party there.
Right, so they're not renting
They're not
a
renting.
facility, they're just there using it.
Yeah.
boy, that's a nice source of income, though.
Well, yeah.
right, but it's also, you know, a whole insurance issue.
Could be
and all of
liability.
that.
Yeah,
It's
I think it's an insurance issue. It would be an extra, I would think it would be something extra on our policy. I mean, I could check.
Yeah, well,
Right.
why don't we approve this and then
We can
Then
you
amend
want to
it.
research that a little bit?
We can amend
It's
it.
just, I can imagine that question coming
Oh, yeah,
up,
I
somebody
can too.
calling and saying,
Yeah, I'd like to rent the pool for.
yeah,
For, yeah, I can imagine
But
something.
that little pavilion there, that's available for use for anyone at any time, right?
for general public use, yeah. I mean, I think that probably the only time this would come up is if somebody wanted to have sort of a reasonably significant event outside of regular pool hours. You know, if you wanted to have an evening thing
right,
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that coming up at some point.
Yeah,
so.
I'll ask, but yeah. I'll ask the insurance company about that, because I'm sure it's gonna be a liability issue is all it comes down to. I mean, it's our facility, we can,
Right.
yeah. I mean, obviously a private renter is not gonna have insurance for that particular event, it would be our insurance, so we just have to find out what that meant to
Whether
us.
that means
Yeah.
we have to have a rider for
Yeah.
I think,
or something.
yeah, I think, you know, that overall, that on a case-by-case basis will always be part of the, perhaps, you know, we
Yeah.
should amend this to that degree, that all usage will be, you know, there'll be a.
That might, that
Usage
one
and-
might
usage
even
and-
be.
Usage and fees will be determined upon on a case-by-case basis or something like that.
Yeah.
Is
Because
that
we don't
not
have-
implied?
because
I wonder.
Well, because we're not offering within the facility
the-
use, we're not offering a fee schedule of any kind or anything. So both the fee and the
Well,
availability.
it could be facility rental agreement, social service and community service groups, individuals, blah, blah. Use the facility shall be required to execute a facility rental agreement for each event. Agreements will be
Sure. Yeah.
determined
Yeah.
on a per use basis, or, you know, whatever the proper wording for that would be.
Okay, so I'll rent that. Oh,
You read that.
jeez. I mean, I can.
We'll give it to you,
I can do these things and question the pool and bring this back
And
next
yeah,
time.
we don't, I guess. we
I'm
don't need
still
it
gonna
right
have
away.
this Mike Henkel come in and take a copy of this and do, because we've already told him he can rent that place. We just need to
Right.
come up with,
Yeah, that's
so I'll
fine.
take care of that part.
So we
but I
need,
can
yeah,
do-
so
we
why don't we
need
do
a
this, and then
policy.
we don't have to amend
We need
it.
Yeah, and you
we
don't
need a
have to amend
policy
it.
to govern the agreement.
Yeah, with what you guys have
So
talked
I
about.
will make a motion that we will adopt.
Do-
No,
No.
we're not going to. We're gonna wait
I'm
until.
gonna
wait.
do some fixing to this one,
Fix
find
that.
out about the pool,
Never mind.
because if the pool gets added, then
I
we don't
withdraw
have one. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, or who own like Pierce Hall and Newman Hall and
Pierce Hall is owned by is it the Historic Society now, or is it
Okay.
still the
Pierce's
East
Hall
Putney Association?
or something.
Right.
Yeah. Newman Hall is privately owned.
Oh, that's probably
Right,
Yeah.
it's privately owned.
Would the library be included in this, or do they have a separate?
The library would probably have their own
They would
policy
probably have their own policy.
because they're,
Yeah.
while they get money,
Might be worth
while
checking
they're
about.
funded
Yeah.
by us, it's a completely separate governance body.
Okay.
Yeah, although, yeah, I mean, I guess I.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's.
Right, but would they have to, I mean, if they wanted to have a wedding
Say-
there, they wouldn't have to come to us.
No,
Okay.
you know, when they
Yeah,
have,
I
so I
would,
guess it's
yeah,
like
because
they're-
they're not a department
you know,
of
they
the
have
town.
they have programming there.
They do follow.
You know,
Right,
all the
right,
stuff,
right, right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, and then there's the Third Bay Highway Department, that's a popular one too.
well, that's
Oh, you just never know what
probably
somebody
not as popular as
wants
it
to
was once upon a time.
Yeah, Underman said, right?
Well, they used to have the alumni things at the tool shed up in Rockingham.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was big.
that's not still?
No, no, no.
Oh, that
no,
got put
not
on
after
the.
somebody got stabbed or something.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, that wasn't that long
That
ago.
wasn't that long ago.
They do them at the 8 Point Center now,
With lights on and stuff like that.
hopefully.
That's right. And will we or the state have governance over the park and ride? That'll be a large, ample space
Ooh, yeah,
to
really.
help
I don't think we
conduct
will.
some kind of.
I think we. All right, so I'll bring this back
Sounds good.
with those questions answered. The grant, the sidewalk grant, you have to appoint a local project manager for that project because the grant agreement should be here soon. And we'll have to name a local project manager. Chris was the project manager for the last one.
I nominate Cynthia.
Let me just say one thing, just so you guys, at least I've told you, is that Wyndham Regional offered services to us, the
To
contract,
be the project
to
manager?
help do project management. I had him send me samples of agreements that he had done with other towns. It was between $7,500 and $12,000 to have them help do that.
Who, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's not do that unless we have to.
I had John LaBarge come down the other day. He was at V-Trans. He's been assigned as our project manager again, or our project, I guess,
Supervisor
whatever it
or
is,
something,
yeah.
yeah.
From V-Trans. to go over the whole process with me because it is the first time that I've done it, and I
Is it
thought
a little bit above your head? So
might be a little bit, but he didn't feel like it was necessary because he said he'd work closely with me. Chris Ryan was here yesterday. Him and I talked about it. He feels pretty confident, so I guess I'm okay. I mean, I'm fine with it. If
yeah, no, and the other advantage to us is that, I mean, Chris, we can have that as in kind for, you know, if you keep track of that, that
Yeah.
counts in our,
well, I have to get that approved, but yeah.
by then you have to get it
Yeah.
approved, do you?
Any in kind that we're going to, because right now we
Because
send
it was,
all attachment.
I mean, it was, that Chris, that was part of our in kind that Chris was doing it last time. I'm
It's actually
pretty
not
sure.
called in kind because it's just administrative costs. So, yeah.
Right, but we can put those towards our
Towards
contribution
yes.
towards the grant.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think if we can keep that in-house and not have to actually pay it
Yeah.
out, that's a big
Yeah.
advantage to us, I would think.
I mean, I still think there's things that Wyndham Regional can do for us that aren't. I mean, they still are our regional planners. So,
Right. No, I mean, if we get into a glitch and we have to call them, then we
yeah.
call them. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think we need to pay for that service from them. I didn't think.
Just said I'd spread the word that it was offered.
No, concerning that, there was one of the residents approached me the other day and was wondering whether or not there was going to be a boardwalk on the guardrail side going up towards Landmark. You know, there's that guardrail, and there's really not much of a.
That's not going to
It's
be
not part
in
of it?
this
Not
phase.
yet.
Not in this phase?
No.
Okay.
Basically, we're starting at town. This phase will take us up. It's a little less than we were hoping for. It'll roughly take us up to the top of Basketville. I mean, you know, it's 50,000 less than we hoped it would be. So, you know, it had intended to go past that first building above Basketville, but we may not get that far. So, it's remarkably expensive to do
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
So basically the Basketville parking lot. But ultimately what it's likely to be is a reinforcement and widening of that structure that's on the inside of
Imagine those,
on the outside of the
big
rail.
rocks in the basket that you'll see in a large, highway building there where they just sort of create a shelf,
Gotcha.
widen the base, bring the embankment up from that point.
I know they talked about sheet pilings too. I don't know whether
That'd be right.
You know what those are.
Right.
That's when they bring those guys in. So one or the other.
Whichever proved to be,
Yeah.
But ultimately, yes, there would
Engineering
be,
wise.
our intent is to have something on the outside of the guardrail
Okay, yeah.
through that stretch, but that's phase 3 at this point.
Okay.
I still like the zip line from Harris's backyard to across the gully.
So we should be getting that grant agreement. soon.
So do we need a motion on
Yeah,
that?
we do.
Okay. I'd accept a motion to appoint Cynthia as our transportation alternative grant administrator or
Local
project manager.
How about so moved?
Yep.
Second.
Yeah.
It's been moved in second to appoint Cynthia as our local project manager. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. What color would you like your heart to be?
Pink.
Pink? Okay. We'll get you
There
pick
we
one.
go.
I'm not really a pink kind of person.
I was going to
It would
say,
be-
but
Well, you know.
be honest, what you want? Goals? Should we get you goals?
Sure, that'd be good.
All right.
Let's see.
Got a report for us?
I have a few things. I just wanted to let you guys know that the RFP went out for the audit. We sent that out. It's due back the 27th, which is Memorial Day. So
And did that go out just to the public, or did we send it to
we
specific
did
people?
put
Or
an announcement in the paper in the public notices, and then how many did we send out? 5 to 5 different four different audit firms.
including budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did let him know that this was
That we were
happening,
doing it,
you
yeah.
know, and that he would. And he asked me, he said, do you want us to be a part, you know, because it is not unusual for towns to say, we need to mix it up a little bit, and I told him that we wanted him to be a part of it,
Yeah,
so,
we're very happy with the services. We just
yeah, just wanna see. So that will be back, that's due back the 27th. The truck bids went out, those are due back the 17th of May. I don't know how many we sent those to,
That
4 or
is
5,
the
4?
truck.
1 ton pickup.
Yeah, for the pickup, yeah.
Are we exploring the sidewalk unit yet or not?
No, I told Brian to wait a second. We've got a lot of, and we really, July and August, our cash flow is pretty,
So it's just a timing
yeah,
issue.
and I said to him, let's wait till about August to start that.
Yeah, and that's
And then
that I
push
would
us a little bit further to
assume
get
that's
that
also
this
not
year.
something that sort of has to be customized. I wouldn't
No, I don't think so.
It's just
There's not a lot of choices out there,
Right.
places to buy
Right.
it, but,
And it's already a fairly
yeah, I told him to hold, because we'll have the
customized
paving
piece
bid.
of
exactly. Yeah.
We'll have the paving bid going out pretty soon, and
Right.
you know that I've even told them to, if you can push it a little bit. Last year we were, well, a lot of it was because of the sidewalk, but we were in a cash flow problem there in July and August because taxes don't come in, so, and all this big work was getting done. That July 1st hits and it's, oh, we've got all sorts of money. So those two things are going on. Dan Toomey, he does the Green Up Day. He wanted to let everybody know that it went really well. He sent a report to the state. And the Megan Benzel from Landmark, she's the Vista volunteer up there. She works with all of the schools. She organized a cleanup day the day after Green Up Day. So there was 2 days worth of people cleaning around Putney. And she said that they had 65 volunteers.
Okay.
13 bags were filled. They cleaned up Kimball Hill, Main Street, Putney Cares. They went to the community center, Mount Pleasant Cemetery, the fire department. We had them cleaning up around the recycling
I
containers.
noticed that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Look good.
Holy gosh, yeah.
Dan said that he had a lot of help the day of Green
And
Up.
they were not hopefully scouring the same area that had just
There
been
was a little
scoured.
bit of
A little
little
overlap.
bit, but Dan and her worked together.
Okay.
Yeah, before the day, so that they kind of caught up with each other. They did go up to Bear Hill, which usually is a mess, and that's clean now. So that went well.
Cool.
And then the only other thing I had was that we painted the whole grittiness of the pool, that problem that we had last year. The pool's painted now, they redid it.
Good.
I'm afraid people are gonna cut their
Cut
feet
themselves.
now.
But they'll be well angled sweat. That's right.
So we're just waiting now for some water. Tom's gonna go up and fill it, but
Is it-
there's not a lot of water around right now for him to.
I think we're due for a pretty wet week here.
Yeah, so we're just waiting. We told him we wanted to have it filled by June 1st. So we've got a couple weeks. There's a little bit more cleaning to do up there. And we're starting to get.
Oh, and so the pool's not filled by a well or something that's there on that side? Or, no.
Yeah, they usually pump it right out of the
Well, and we.
the brook. Hasn't that been right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
That's been the methodology.
Yeah, and it hasn't been so bad in it, but we had to drain it again to paint. So
Right.
we had to drain it down. But
Okay.
looks good. I went up there today. I didn't do a financial report today. We have money.
Yeah, right. We're not bouncing too many checks. Huh? Right.
There's some warrants for everybody.
Running down to the
We're getting
end
down
of
to
the end of the year.
It's getting down.
Jeez, what are they? Isn't he our new road guy? Leonard Howard? Really do it himself. Is he Barbara Memorial Hospital?
Drug tested.
Oh. Okay, sorry. He didn't get hurt.
No.
Is he the new kid?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I saw him the other day. He's a lot younger than I.
Yeah.
He's like straight out of high school, isn't he?
He's 19.
Okay.
How's
He's
he working
doing
out?
really
Good?
well.
Good.
Everybody, they're, yeah. Yeah, everybody's really liking him and he's working hard and
So why do we have tax payment on there and on here? Number 9, what's that tax payment? For the school, 25,000?
yeah, they're about two. They still
Two
have quite a
payments.
bit of money owed to them
So
before
there's
June
just,
30th. Yeah.
two just payment.
And the box goes to you? For that?
I think those don't cover payrolls.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they still have quite a bit of money. So I'm sure it's getting down to the wire. You have to pay it out. I'm gonna have to kill some time because I told Sam to be here at 6:45. So we need to talk for the next.
Sam who, Angel?
Yeah.
6:45.
Well, you know, it's been taking us about an hour and a half to
I
get
know.
through meetings, and I didn't want him to have to sit here for
And that's in
That's
regard
how-
to,
the fire station roof. I don't want to pay him
Who
just
is
to
he?
sit here and listen to us talk about.
who is he? Oh,
He's the attorney.
He's the, right.
You have a cell phone number? I have a cell phone number on my
Yeah.
cell phone.
I did want to update you on the solar RFP. Daniel and I worked together the other day. We did clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna try to have it ready for the next meeting. I also talked to Barbara the town manager down in Brattleboro, because they're entering into some of these she's actually working on contracts right now. So she sent me their RFP today too, so I'm gonna look at that. So hopefully I'll try to get it out to you guys, at least a week before the meeting, because there's a lot of information in that RFP. So that's being done. I haven't caught up with Chris Hayes about the chemical feed building. I know he's busy getting quotes and stuff, so.
Good. Okay, well, maybe I'll go grab my cell phone, and if I
Try
do
to
have
call.
Sam's number, I'll still.
You're talking about the cash flow thing. Out of curiosity, and not that I'm complaining, I noticed that Anita doesn't usually post checks for quite a while, and I'm curious. No, I mean, I'm not complaining. I don't complain at all.
It is a curious, yes. And actually, her and I talked about it, actually today, we did. And talked about that it needs to speed up a little bit. She just has a method that she does. During tax time, she gets so many, and she's the only one that does it.
Right,
So,
right.
but we're going to work together to try to implement a new system for this first tax payment that comes up this next time around in August.
Okay.
So we're working on it.
Yeah. Like I say.
Oh, you're not she knows. You're not the only one that asked that.
I count that as an asset for a couple months.
Well, this
after
is the
check.
thing. I'm concerned that once we do,
If people aren't aware,
yeah,
yeah,
we probably should make people aware that there's a change,
yeah.
because there is, if the change happens, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully once. It's a common question.
Because when I first moved here, the first time I paid, I remember just being, I was like, geez, did I forget? I forgot.
Some
it was
massive
so far
check.
back in my account.
Right, said, hey,
Did I
wait a
pay it?
minute.
I was freaking out.
All right.
Then all of a sudden it shows up, cancel.
Yeah. It's a common question. If I'd known we were going to get through stuff so fast.
Yeah, you can never predict it, can you?
No.
But you're wrong either way.
If I had said 6:30, would he would have had to sit here for.
Okay.
Don't you have any other business that you want to talk about?
The building on Gassett Road hasn't fallen down yet?
No, I haven't heard
I
anything about that.
haven't driven out by there recently.
Kind of just sits here on old business and never.
Well, the presumption being that it'll eventually just.
I was told at one
Fall.
point by that people that owned it that they were hiring somebody to take it down, but
Yeah, where is Gassett Road? I've been trying to.
You turn, and you're going up Route 5, north on Route 5. You turn left on East Putney Brook Road,
Uh-huh.
and then you go by Cemetery Road, which is the left off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, right off of that, excuse me. These days I'll remember that. And then the road does a little fork, and it's it's an old town road. That's Gassett Road, and it kind of goes down closer to the brook. East Putney Brook kind of goes around. Stephen Kinzer's shop is there.
So it's before Pierce Hall?
It's after Pierce Hall.
Oh, it's after, okay.
Right.
Gosh, I just can't picture that.
Right. Imagine it's right on the brook, so that you have it forks right there. There's the little building that used to be the old post office building in East Putney. It's just recently underwent a whole lot of renovation,
Right.
and actually it's where the guy built the cabin in the middle of the brook, the little
I've never been up.
meditation room in the middle of the.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
just above that.
Okay.
But that piece of property was where that house was recently renovated, was the old East Putney post office long ago, and then there were a number of mill sites and whatnot along that, and there's just a concrete slab there in the ground. There's a blacksmith shop, and Gassett Road just sort of goes down
Okay.
right there, and it's the access to the big swimming hall that's right there.
Okay.
You know.
I've been by there.
Yeah, sure.
Funny, I've never really noticed it.
Did you get all of them?
I did. He's on 91. He'll be here shortly. So. We can probably just go ahead and go into executive session at this point and release Deb.
Yeah.
So, we
Is
need
the,
a motion.
when the person comes, is that something I should record or?
That will be executive
It'll be
session.
executive session.
Oh.
Yeah. I